You know, it's funny being a musician too, you don't listen to a lot of music if you spend most of your day creating it. What kind of a motif am I creating? Do you want me to create a theme, or I have something in my head that just, it's a little tantrumy. I'm Steve Mazzaro. I'm a film composer, TV composer, video game composer. I've worked on a bunch of films such as like Boss Baby, both 1 and 2, No Time to Die, Army of Thieves, bunch of superhero movies. I work a lot with another known composer, Hans Zimmer, and him and I collaborate on a lot of projects together. I started piano when I was 5 years old, and then from there I picked up a myriad of, I did alto saxophone, French horn, drums, guitar, bass. I mean, like anything I could get my hands on, I was just dabbling in. I felt like I had a pretty good foundation from playing piano when I was when I was young, and all the writing that I've been doing for, you know, whatever, 6 or 7 years. So I decided kind of to move out to Los Angeles just on a whim. I had a guide by the name of Dan Winters reach out to me. I had no idea who he was, and he kind of came to me and was like, hey, I want to represent you as like your agent and find you work. Sure. So he knew the people at Silva Screen. What I was doing with Silva Screen was re-mocking up pre-existing film music. So I would take a piece by, you know, Jablonski or Hans Zimmer or whatever, and I would recreate everything you heard as close as I could get. And the reason because of that is you don't have to pay the master fees. And so I got really good at doing that, and I was doing that a lot. And I was particularly good at doing Hans's stuff. And so, yeah, apparently one day he was sitting around, and I did a piece from Angels and Demons. He saw it, and it said, performed by the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. So I didn't know this at the time, but the way he intended Angels and Demons was he wanted everything to purposely be fake because of this, like, science versus religion sort of aspect of the film. And so he wrote something that specifically was impossible to play in his words, by real musicians. So he just wanted to hear it because, like, oh, this will be good. And it just happened, it wasn't the Prague Philharmonic, it was just my mock-up of it, which apparently he was somewhat taken back up. So he immediately went, cool, let's sue this guy. And, I don't know what tempo I'm at. That's not what tempo I want to be at. That's fine. So what is that? So then once you have all that, that could be a little faster. Thankfully, he changed his mind and yeah, offered me a job. My first project with him was Dark Knight Rises, which is truly trial by fire, in my opinion. A lot of the times what happens with these sequels is a lot of the music from the previous films will get reused. For a very specific reason. The way Hans's music always is it's very precise in its production. In the same sense that you can't just have an orchestra sit down and play it. There's so much nuance to it. Faster. He's angry, he should be... There we go. Okay. The music editor would use the masters of the previous films to then piece together a scene. And so it'd be my job to figure out what movie they came from, what scene they came from, and then put that back into what we call MIDI, so then we could go get a score together and re-record the orchestra. But it ended up going one step further to where it became, we need your mock-up to sound like the fully mixed, mastered, live version of the previous film. So, really was trial by fire. I'm gonna do Plinky Plonky for you. Okay, so I'll do this. So I'll just put it on another instrument. Let's mute the piano so you're not hearing anything anymore. And let's just go with pizzicato. So let's actually not do this instrument. I know a better way to make that funny. I think when you're working on a new project, especially something that it doesn't have any previous source material, the best thing you can do is try to create something original and unique. And I think that's always the goal. It might not happen sometimes, but you do want to create a world and draw the audience into that world with the music. And so that's always your primary goal. Between that and conveying the correct emotion, even the color palette of the film can determine what instruments will work and what instruments will. And that's, it gets a bit heady, and does it make that big of a difference? Maybe not. But you could argue that it helps you shape what you're trying to do and really hone in on it. They all want a big vision for their film. They all want to have this big idea, you know, and so the more you can kind of just push the envelope and try to achieve that, the better. I think the more bold you can be, and the more innovative you can be, I think directors and stuff will appreciate that more. Let's do these guys. There we go. Because it's an animation and bassoons are funny, and see? Oh, so I went too low there. Sorry, too much. When you're writing music, I do think it's a lot better to work collaboratively, just because you have these ideas that when you're in your own confinement, it might be good, and the longer you spend with your ideas, the more you convince yourself that they're good, whether they are or they're not. The second you press play with somebody else, especially who's judging the music, with somebody else in the room, it sounds mono, and the theme is awful, and everything about it couldn't be worse, because you're hearing it through their ears in a weird way. And so it's a really good way to almost hear your music again for the first time. Sometimes you need to hear what's wrong before you can know what's right. Well, I mean, and sometimes, especially given the deadlines, you can only do what you can do. So, you know, you get it to that professional, acceptable level, and okay, fine, take it. You know, it's like, because otherwise you'd be working on it forever. All right, so let's use these guys. Okay. So basically, I'm trying to make it sound gritty and angry. We can turn that down. You'll see a very rough cut of the film with temporary music placed in, and you'll have a spotting session where you just kind of comb through the film and just talk about how do you feel about the music that they've temped here, and how do you, you know, this scene, come up with ideas of, oh, maybe we can bridge these cues together, or maybe we can do this big overarching thing, or whatever it is. In some cases, doing what's best for the music could be in the best interest of the film, and in my opinion, that's why I think like Chris Nolan's films are really, really powerful, because the music is very much in the forefront of those. It makes a huge difference. Let's go horns. Okay. There's something about animation music that is so energetic and so fun, and you can just like be so creative with it because you're not constrained by real humans on the screen. Because Boss Baby 1, the whole point was you're writing in the head of an imaginative kid, and so we just got to be completely flamboyant. You know, it's like that was the film that we put funk in, jazz, you know, and then like I think we did, you know, Holst at one point, you know, like just some like classical music. It's just everything you could possibly come up with. You know, it got to the point where there was a scene where we had, you know, I hadn't done yet, and it was like, okay, what style haven't we used yet? Let's do that. You know, it was so much fun. Okay, and then because he's angry. a little loud, but gets the idea across. There you go. Nothing says anger like that. Okay. The idea really is that the source material is what's drawing you in and what's bringing you into the world. Games have become, to some extent, more cinematic than films. Like there are some games out there that are actually hiring big name film composers to do their video games because it's almost an interactive film at that point. So game music, I feel, is a bit more, I don't want to use the word formulaic because that makes it sound boring. It's more formulaic in the sense that you have to, for a lot of it, have to have loop points. And then what you'll do is you'll create the high intensity version of that, and then the medium intensity version of it, and the low intensity. But it's the same music, but just different intensities, so they can just crossfade between the three. So you're sneaking around, you do the low intensity, and oh, there's a big battle, you do the high intensity, but it all feels like it's part of the world. And so now I'll just kind of go in and look at what the hell I'm doing. And so I can pick appropriate notes because I don't know what that was. So when I started out in Hans's studio, he always had Dynaudio speakers as his surrounds, which is what I had in my room in Santa Monica. But I really liked the Dynaudios, and so when I started building my home studio, I'm like, oh, well, those were good. And so I bought the pair of the Dynaudios, and I really started to like them and just got used to them. And so now, just both surrounds and fronts, I just end up using Dynaudio. Like anytime I'm listening to stuff, I want to know what it sounds like. I don't want a lot of hype. And I really want to know how it's going to translate. And the Dynaudio speakers do translate very well. Honestly, this might not be what you think, but the best advice somebody's given me was to move to Los Angeles. It has nothing to do with music necessarily, but like in terms of film music, especially back then, if you want to do this, you have to be here for it.
What about the worst advice?
Move to Los Angeles. You guys saw the traffic, it sucks. I think the best advice I could give somebody who wants to be a composer is to learn to produce. A lot of music nowadays is production. If you even look at pop music, it is very much the production more than it is the writing. I mean, pop music has been using the same 4 chords for the past 40 years. So, obviously there's something there, that makes it good, but it's the production that sets it apart from the rest. There you go. There's your angry child.
Angry animated.
An angry animated child walking down the hallway about to yell at his parents.